Greetings and salutations. You're watching or listening to the Roll for Crit podcast, the official podcast for rollforcrit.com, online board game store where you can watch, shop, and play in that order. I'm Jonathan Estes.
And I'm Will Keeler. And today in board game history, while the official date isn't known, it is known to happen many, many years, thousands of years ago, that all the leaders of the winter holidays got together and officially decided that board games were the official gift if you truly cared for someone.
Oh, that's so sweet. I love that they did that. And so you know that if someone doesn't get you a board game, they really don't love you.
Yes, exactly.
Which has helped me out a lot with my family, friends, all of my relationships I've ever had in any form with other people, to know that none of them truly like me.
I've yet to receive a board game from Jonathan.
It's true. And you never will. You never will. But you should definitely give the gift of board games to someone if you love them. Check out rollforcrit.com. Now we've got a whole show of goodness to bring you. We've been playing a lot of Dungeons and Dragons in our day, but really outside of that, not a lot of shared role-playing experience in our group. But until recently, you have started playing the Star Wars RPG Edge of the Empire. Separately from myself, so I haven't really heard much about this other than some rumblings.
Yes.
So how we're going to start the show this week is, sort of in theme with our Star Wars month, with Rogue One coming out at the end of this week. Tell us a little bit about what that experience is like compared to D&D, I guess in one sense from the actual game perspective, and then in another sense from the group dynamic.
Yes, and because honestly, both of them are unbelievably different.
All right.
All right, so
excited.
let's go start with the game.
This is, just so you don't know, if you don't know, this is the Fantasy Flight published Edge of the Empire. Takes place in the when?
I think technically you can go around, but we're right around, we're like Rogue One era.
Okay.
More or less. For our story, we're not too far connected into the at this current point Death Star and whatnot. Though we have joked around if we see some people that look like our characters in Rogue One in the background, we'd be like, "We're canon, we're canon," which is actually a really bad sign because there's some things in there that you don't want to be canon.
I can't wait to hear about it.
Well, before I begin, we should explain that there are actually currently 4, but really 3 Star Wars RPGs from Fantasy Flight: Edge of the Empire, Age of Rebellion, and Force and Destiny. Pretty much, if you choose which one you want to do, depending on what you want your group mostly to be. Edge of Empire is really if you want to be more like Han Solo, the bounty hunter or the colonist, not really the Jedi or the military. Age of Rebellion, if you want to be more about the rebellion, and Force and Destiny if you want more Jedi stuff. But continuing back, chose...
They do all share like very similar mechanics.
Yeah, I think they still use the same dice and everything. It's just that really you're going to see more of the core mechanics revolve around being in the Outer Rim worlds for Edge of Empire, and not really your character's not going to, while you may be Force sensitive, you're not going to be really like... You're not
the dude from the Force Unleashed video game where you're picking up X-Wings and TIE fighters and throwing them.
In fact, I'm pretty sure even if you use a lightsaber, like, unless you are a Jedi, you do a roll and see if you kill yourself. Something like that.
Okay.
So that, just to give a background of which one, in case you do pick up a Star Wars one and get a little confused about where I'm coming from. So this is my brother and his friend, who you've seen on the show many times in our playbacks, Mark, decided to start this campaign.
Mark is the friend, Matt is your
my
brother. You've
yes.
seen both of them.
And my brother's actually the game master in this scenario. Very interesting compared to you. But we'll get to that one in the group aspect. And they actually started with 2 other people, one who I knew from college, one who I didn't know until this. And I joined partway through, and they actually said, because I was talking with Mark, and he's like, we have a pilot, technically like an NPC, who is actually a Gungan named Garlic Girly Nards, who they actually injured because, like, he's so stupid. He's addicted to drugs. And I was like, I'll join and be a pilot. That sounds cool. I wouldn't mind doing that. So I actually it's really cool. I took the robot, in essence. My whole story, I'm more like, I'm forgetting his name.
IG-88? No, General Grievous?
Yeah, because I'm actually a cyborg, and my whole backstory is I'm trying to find out my origin, but at the same time hide. So I'm like, I'm really excited. And think
You're like
really
the
cool.
Jason Bourne of the droid.
Sort of, but you wouldn't know in our campaign,
okay.
At least at this point. But what's funny is, so I built my character mostly because of our D&D story. I'm like, I'm going to build this one not really, combat heavy gunner and stuff. I'm gonna be the pilot, so I'm gonna be, like, you don't think of Wash from Firefly as the guy who's, shooting and stuff. He's the guy who's more thinking in the ship and stuff. So I built sort of like that. Though my guy's more of a tough, every man for himself kind of guy, not as kind as Wash.
Okay.
Turns out most of our group are like, none of them are combat heavy.
Could be a problem.
We're all like really good at sneaking and stuff. And it turned out in one scenario we actually went to, someone triggered pretty much 23 bounty hunters to attack. We only lived because we threw like this drug we got early on into a ventilation system and knocked everyone out. It was really cool. And I may have started killing off everyone.
While they were asleep?
Yeah, to make sure there were no witnesses.
Do you have alignments in this RPG or no?
No, and the way this RPG works, you make your character, and most of that is mostly the same. But well, I guess it sort of is in Dungeons and Dragons, but in this there's like a literal talent tree, where you get like usually like 10 XP maybe a match, and you can like level it up, but you can't buy this until you buy the one above, and you can get new abilities like that, and they're weird paths. So maybe you can only get this if you go here, then here, or here, and they get more expensive.
Okay.
So it's not like Dungeons and Dragons where it's sort of just like you level up, you got this.
Right.
And as far as I know, it's not like you're forced to choose. Like I think, like I'm gonna probably choose. I mean, I can either choose Beastmaster or Duelist. I think it's called for the Ranger when we get far enough.
Okay.
But this is more. It feels much more RPG-ish.
A little more video gamey.
Yes. But the weird thing is in Dungeons and Dragons, a lot of the choices you make, I'll say I want to strike the dragon. We'll say.
Good choice.
I'm gonna roll my d20. And I'm going to have a number, and you're going to have a number.
Right.
And you compare the numbers. Or even if I say I jump a ledge, you'll think of how difficult it is, and I'm sure you have a guide of what number that pass or whatnot.
Right. Easy, medium,
The way
hard.
this works is you have a skill. So let's say I'm trying to intimidate you. I look at my intimidate skill, and it will be like 3 green dice. They're not numbered, they're symboled. And positive dice have either successes or advantages. Negative dice have disadvantages or failures. And you add up your total of positive and negative, roll them, and see what you get. And the opposites cancel out. So you get this really weird thing of being like, I failed, but I got 6 advantages. So it'd be like, well, you missed him, but the shot reflected and like hit someone else. Like it becomes such a weird storytelling game that becomes like you had to freeform so much more. It becomes really weird, especially there are these yellow die and red die. They're 12-sided, and they pretty much each one has one symbol called despair or triumph. It's like a super success or super failure.
Okay.
And our group is disturbingly good. Like, there's no reason the odds make sense. We roll like a triumph always, and it's just like my brother's just like, you failed, but with a triumph. Oh my god. All right, so. You call because we got like one of the things is we got some stormtroopers to call for an escort because they didn't know we were bad guys yet, or enemies of them. Like you called them, but it turned out this old lady also appeared who's a Jedi, so they started engaging her. It was just this all this weird stuff happens like that.
That's interesting because I have read one of the recommended techniques for D&D for critical misses is to kind of, or even lower misses, is to kind of do that sort of thing. So it's not as much of a you just failed and you can't do it, but like, well, you succeeded, but when you were unlocking the door or whatever, a monster heard you and came out or something. I do think that adds. I like that kind of.
It's good. In some senses, but then like my brother's like, I don't even know what to do for you each time. It's like every time I have to do something really good and really bad.
Yeah.
And then there's also force points. At the beginning of each match, you roll a 100, technically number generator, but roll a 100-sided die.
Got it.
They don't include it. But yeah, to see whether
Sold
anyone's
separately.
obligations trigger. It's sort of like everyone has, they give you, when you make a character, you have obligations. Like, for example, my robot character is to find his past and also to hide from the Imperial Army because, he doesn't want to be discovered. He is a prototype, so to speak. Mm-hmm. But like in D&D, you can think of the equivalent of my character would be go out and find the missing person
Right.
and make something. But it's like
Your
your
backstory.
your character's backstories and things. And if you roll them, which we haven't yet, or once again, we just always keep missing. The game master would put something in like we meet a bounty hunter searching for me, or maybe we find a clue to. It's sort of like what we like. You know how we mentioned one of the things we liked about the D&D starter was that our character was really integrated with the story. It's almost like a way to force that.
Mm-hmm. No pun intended.
Yes. So I do sort of like that, and it definitely works, especially if it's hard for you to do. I think it's not as bad for you because if you like, at least for my case, like I gave you plenty of leeway room to put whatever for Orion's situation, so to speak, in D&D. It's better. It is better if you have someone like Ivan who didn't really give you much. So I think you have to make up something for him, which we'll see soon enough, I'm sure.
So it sounds like it forces the DM or GM to
and the players really
to come maybe even come up with something not necessarily when they were ready for it, or so it shakes things up a lot.
Right. And then after you do that, though, you actually roll a die. Each person rolls this die to see how many light side and dark side points are. Pretty much, there's a pool of these points, and you can guess the GM uses the dark side, the other side uses the light side, and it becomes the other one to use it, and to add the really good or bad die to a roll. So pretty much make it, you know what? It's harder now. I mean, I don't know why the DM can't just add it on his own. Like, it's sort of weird to me, like, because it's like a gamey, but it's something that's not really like a score gamey thing, but...
Yeah, I don't know.
But we use it more to make fun of it, just be like, you know what? Light side. Because I want to flip a dark side because I want this to fail. Will, why do you want this to fail?
What's your character's name?
My character's name is it's RX-78, so we just call him Rex.
Love it. All right, so in terms of overall,
so it's definitely
gameplay wise.
It's definitely weird because I'll get to the group, but it's more. It definitely feels. It's definitely if you don't like numbers, this is the one to go for because we barely do any like. There is math and I guess counting damage and numbers and stuff and looking at like your armor values, but like you're never thinking like that's 13 plus my 6 agility plus you're thinking I roll 3 green dice. Plus we found this program that's really nice that calculates how many dice we roll. Was really nice.
So like an app?
Yeah, like cool. For a computer. So that makes it really nice. But the groups, that's when things just take a so like if the games are different, because when you sit down, you have a binder, you have a plan, and our group honestly, I feel plays like you would expect a regular Dungeons and Dragons group to play more or less outside the drinking torrent.
Right. You guys pretty much are saying, let's go to the dungeon, let's do this, let's follow the path.
The drinking torrent would be mild in our campaign. Like, we found a gay robot which would only tell us information if I did a twirl. And like we said, we took out all these bodyguards by knocking them out with these drugs that we got.
It's just the three of you?
4.
There's 4 people, okay.
And not including the game master.
Oh, okay.
And like it's sort of weird because sometimes like I was really happy with that because I felt like I could be in character because I don't want any witnesses, so I was killing all of them. They're like, "Really, you do it?" I'm like, "Yeah, we gotta take them all out." So, but like other times, I'm like, I don't know how to act, and we split up a lot. Like you know how we never split up in D&D?
Yeah.
We split up all the time. It'll be like, "All right, we're gonna focus on you two now," and I'm like, "All right, I'm doing work now." It's very interesting. It's so much more lax and like wild and like you don't know what's gonna happen.
Does most of that come from Matt or the players?
It's Matt combined with the fact that the dice can just, like I said, super positive and negative have to happen at the same time. I mean, it sort of comes from one player, I guess, but I wouldn't say that it really draws to it. Just adds because his character is sort of it's almost like he's like SpongeBob. Like he's just very happy and like
he's Jar Jar Binks.
A little bit, yeah. But and he's actually our most combat heavy guy. Like he's a hunter. But like we have a hunter, a doctor, one of the cat race. I forget their name.
I don't even know. There's a cat race in Star Wars.
Yeah, like I know they always bring them up. Like a lot of them died for us to get these plans. Like.
Were they in the movies?
Or maybe in the background. But
so they weren't.
Yeah.
Maybe only the cartoons or comics or something.
Yeah. But they mention him in the movies.
Okay.
Because there's a famous line like, a lot of this race died for us to get these plans and stuff. But it's definitely crazy how completely different. Like that's the big thing for me. The group is so different. And when I go and when we haven't been in a while though, but when we sit down for D&D, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna get in Orion's head. You know, like I know how he's gonna act in this. I'm thinking 3 steps ahead. I'm like. And like when combat, like because I'm also prepared for combat more, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get the higher ground so I can shoot an arrow there, and maybe if I can ensnare him. When the Star Wars, I'm like, I don't know what's gonna happen. Let's see what goes. Like, maybe I'll kill someone.
So it's a madcap romp that you cannot predict.
Yes, it really is.
I know is there a specific book that you guys are following? Like, did Matt use a starter campaign or something?
We didn't get the starter thing. We just took the core, and he has his. Well, I think we're actually sort of following one person's story. Her entire family was killed. We're trying to find her family's lost royal
bloodline.
No, like where all the treasures kept, like
Vault.
Vault, yes. Which we joked about since she's the cat racer. We're like, we're gonna open it. It's just cardboard boxes.
So I guess my question is do you think there's an end point? That like is there going to be a natural you've finished the campaign, or are you guys just doing a open-ended?
I do think we will hit an end. Like I don't know, at least a major point, and I don't know whether we'll continue from there or not. Because once again, also depends where we all are. But I mean, as far as I know, we're gonna find that, and because this is Star Wars, and we're not doing either super far back or super far forward, that I don't think we're gonna like. It's like you have to be. I guess technically we've said we're not gonna try to keep this as canon as possible. We're not gonna be like, oh, you can't do that because Vader appeared there, and
right.
Because I think
you don't want to do that.
One of the guys there who I knew from college, and Mark, very well knowledgeable in Star Wars stuff. Like that drug was a real drug from Star Wars, and they're like, yes, this is a class 5 drug in society. I'm like, oh, okay. I told him we need to find I told Matt we need to use the giant fish monster from episode 1. Come across that.
Yeah, why not?
I will end with this. Just tell you where we are now.
Okay.
Because it's post-Thanksgiving. Because why not? We have come across a planet, so to speak, of giant turkeys. In a civil war with cybernetic versions of themselves.
Doesn't get much more Star Wars than that.
So if you wanted to know how crazy and random, there's your bar.
Well, if you want to try Edge of the Empire out for yourself, it's out there. We sell it on our site.
I'd love to hear your guys' opinions if you've played the Star Wars RPG, how the dice have been different for you, if you've played D&D or Pathfinder, what your characters are, because I'm very curious since this is specifically the Edge of the Empire, if you played a different one, especially because, like I said, we've had that old lady Jedi. She appeared before. Mm-hmm. And so we're like, have you had Jedi appear or Sith Lords appear in the Force and Destiny? How do you deal with them? Do you just run? Do you actually make sense that you can beat them?
Yeah. Let us know. Good questions. I'm especially interested to hear if people play the other ones and which one they like the best, or if it's just cosmetic.
I think actually one of the reasons we chose this one was that I think Mark did some research and said a lot of people like this one more, which to me, I'm going to be honest, isn't that big of a surprise because I feel like if you're like, which Star Wars character do you want to be? Han Solo!
Yeah. I think I would probably, personally, I would go for the Jedi one. I think I would want
Like, part of me likes that, but like if maybe if I can mix, like, because I do like being my character, like almost the Firefly-like.
It's hard because you can't have, it's almost like the Doctor Who problem. You can't have one person be Obi-Wan or Luke because then it's like sort of unbalanced. I don't know. You could work it around.
Well, you could, but you be prepared then for probably, you'd have to write a story in which the Empire probably has a lot of Sith generals in which the other group take care of the stormtroopers while the Sith. But Matt does not hold back on enemies. Like, he drops heavy enemies at us.
That doesn't surprise me
Like, I don't
at
feel
all.
nearly as strong as, like,
He's a sadistic
even though we're
weirdo.
not combat heavy, I in particular feel like compared to D&D, like I'm meant to talk a lot more. We're meant to talk our way out of a lot more things. It just feels that way with like, I feel like you can do that in D&D, but I do feel a lot more. I feel like, at least when you throw them with us, I've been like, I can even the Sandworm, I'm like, I can fight this. Like it'd be more like if you recall the dragon fight from the beginner. That's what most of our fights feel like, except there's 2.
All right. Well, hopefully you don't die.
Actually, I almost did it.
You'll keep us updated.
But
if the turkey war has any casualties,
they'll be delicious.
Now, not everybody is a Star Wars fan.
No, some people enjoy the evening news.
Some people like Star Trek. Which is why we've got some evening news about Star Trek to bring you right now, and specifically Star Trek Attack Wing. This is a game that's been out for quite a while. WizKids has announced they are almost totally revamping the entire Star Trek Attack Wing line in a few key ways. First,
I'm waiting.
Okay. Firstly, they're releasing like kind of an updated rule set that you're going to be able to check out online digitally to augment your current games. There's going to be new frequently asked question pages, stuff like that. There's also going to be new faction packs, which are these lower cost, sort of meant to be entry-level sets that give you access to a whole faction that you can use, things that you can use as an action for one player in a game of Attack Wing. And they're also dropping the price of, across the board, the MSRPs are going down for everything. And they're trying to, they're releasing stuff to help you know which older sets are all the older sets will still work with the new game, but they're gonna have maybe updated rules and things like that. So it sounds like they're really attempting to open this up to a wider base.
Well, first question.
Don't ask me specifics, 'cause I don't know. But
if I were to buy an older set,
yeah,
now or a month from now, will they have the newer rules in them?
A month from now, I don't know, but I'm guessing once everything's rolled out, my guess is there will be maybe like either they'll put it in the rulebook or there'll be like a sticker that says "Go online for the new changes here."
Right.
But they all will be compatible at least. You're not losing anything.
And I do. The other thing is not a question, but I do think this is because since Asmodee recently, all the rules changed. I know a bunch of X-Wing prices have gone up, and a lot of people weren't happy with this. This could be them being like, guys, we should drop it. This way, maybe more people would compete with the Star Trek version.
Well, I definitely think. I mean, X-Wing is obviously the big kid.
Yeah,
on the block.
I don't know the price. Do you know what the actual price? It's for regular ship.
I think it varies. Like 15 to 20 depends. There's bigger, there's smaller ones. But it seems like they're trying to get a piece of that pie, because I know we hardly ever hear any buzz about Star Trek Attack Wing.
No.
We've had some of the core on our site, and we've had the D&D Attack Wing stuff. We've seen it here and there, but it doesn't seem like outside of. I'm sure there's some circles. I'm sure people watching this will say, in my store, there's a huge community for it. But overall, it doesn't have nearly the same space that X-Wing does, for example. So yeah, this sounds like a good one, especially with the new Star Trek show coming up. Maybe a good way to start getting people back into the fold a little bit. I don't know, but check that out if you're an Attack Wing player. I'd be interested to hear what you think about these changes.
And also, if you've played that one compared to X-Wing, is there a reason why you'd want to stick with Star Trek, or maybe why you left it to play the X-Wing more, and if these would be willing to bring you back?
Yeah. And then one other story, just because we thought it was so adorable. AEG has announced that they're releasing a combined box set in 2017 of 3 of their games: Trains, Planes, and Automobiles.
And if you don't understand why we find that cute, you need to watch some movies, my friend.
Go watch some movies, my friend. But these are the 3 we've played. Have we just played Planes?
We have Planes, but I have Trains.
Have Trains.
Because the black AEG box, and we always forget because it didn't say Trains; it's just black.
So we haven't tried all of them, but we do like Planes, and this set will run for $80, which, considering by themselves, each game is what?
30
at least
to
30 to 40. And each game also comes with one expansion, at least a couple of which I know are brand new for this set.
Yeah, because I know Trains had 2, but I didn't know about Planes or Automobiles.
Yeah, so you're getting it's a pretty good deal for all 3 in this one box, and that's $80 retail. So probably like 70 or lower at your average store that you're gonna find it at. So that's kind of cool if you like those games.
It should come with an annoying passenger promo.
Yeah, it should. See, it's good when companies do that, and that's just, it feels like they've been working towards that ever since they announced.
I mean, they look the same. It's seems so obvious. Like
it really does. Now we did play a couple of games at our game night last week, this past weekend, and we're going to start talking about Mystic Vale, which is a big one. We did an interview when it was right before it came out at our PhD event. You can find that with one of the guys from AEG.
But we finally got our chance to
Finally got to try it out for real with 4 players. It's a deck building game, but instead of adding cards to your deck, you are adding cards to existing cards by sleeving them inside of it.
See-through cards, pretty much you're upgrading each card so they're stronger the next time you play them. The idea being you're going to be able to play more, do more effects each time you play a hand. So instead of your deck growing or shrinking, it's more like you're getting more value from each card.
So it's I think it's a super unique and innovative mechanic.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's really cool.
Certainly the first time you see it, it makes you go, whoa, I've never seen that before in a game. That's really interesting. So then the question is it just a gimmick, or does it actually lead to interesting gameplay? What do you think?
Well, coming from someone who plays a lot of deck building games, it definitely is interesting because the way you play is almost more like a push your luck kind of thing.
Right, that's the other aspect of it.
And it almost feels, and one of the things that's really great, it also has that legacy feeling without being in a legacy. Like, because you're upgrading, so it's like, I've now made this, like, this used to be okay, but now I've got a rhino on it. And even then, like, you're looking at cards and be like, oh, if I can add this card to the rhino, and then this, it'll take away the bad thing. And like, it's a whole different kind of planning. So I do think, well, I guess technically it falls into word of gimmick, it's not bad. Like, it's really is fun to play.
It's a good gimmick. I don't think all gimmicks are bad. I think gimmicks are good.
I mean, it's not like a one-shot pony. Like, we want to play it again.
For sure.
And it was actually interesting because when we were playing, I remember halfway through the game, we're like, all right, we're pretty sure that first place is either going to be Will or me, our
friend Garrett.
Yeah. And then the next would be you and Neil. It actually turned out you and Garrett were the top 2.
It was weird because I guess because we're just not used to playing, but I felt like I was doing terribly, and then it turned, because really what it was, on your turn, you flip number of cards from your deck, and like you said, to push your luck. If you get too many red symbols, you lose your whole turn.
And you did get a couple of those.
And I was getting like 3 or 4 mana a turn, and I really felt like I wasn't doing a lot with my deck, whereas it seemed like you guys were playing a whole bunch of cards and comboing more. But it turned out I just had enough of these point cards that get you points at the end of the game that I mean, I still didn't win, but I was a lot closer than I expected to be. So yeah, it is interesting. I guess we just kind of need to wrap our heads around exactly what it means to be doing well in this game.
And an expansion did just come out.
Right.
And so I haven't had a chance to look at that. And we do know, I'm very excited now, because remember, this is actually apparently part of another game they actually got from the designer. And this is sort of like to be like, teach this mechanic.
The intro to that, which is, it's sort of like if there was I don't know, like Dominion introducing deck building, and then you go play Mage Knight or something like that.
So I'm excited to see what that turns out to be.
Yeah, that should be very interesting.
But definitely, really do enjoy it. I mean, love see-through cards and stuff. It's always great to see.
Yeah, it's a fun game, and I mean, it's a little.
Yeah. And I will say this: you're either gonna love this or hate this. The cards tend to have a little protective film on them.
Right.
That while you shuffle, they start disappearing, taking off while you shuffle it. They're meant to come off. It's just for the process. So then while you're playing, you may be like, all right, I'm gonna just peel this off.
Yeah, that is I think the weirdest thing about it is just for those first few games, shuffling is kind of awkward, and it is also a little strange when the piles are face down, because you can kind of see what's coming up. Not that I think that's interesting, because you could almost use that as part of your strategy, but it is a little weird.
But you could just probably
if you really wanted
to cover cards. Or something.
But I don't think it's really that necessary. But fun light deck building game. It's not going to. It's not going to change the world, but if you like deck building games, it does put a good twist on it.
It's hopefully building up to change the world in whatever that final game is.
We'll see. I don't think it will change the world. We also played Role Player, which was a Kickstarter game that I backed from Thunderworks Games, the same guy who did Bullfrogs, which we reviewed a while back. The idea of it is you are all setting up your characters essentially for a Dungeons & Dragons or fantasy-style role-playing campaign, and you're doing so. We have an actual player board with cutouts where you will be placing dice, and each row is an attribute: strength, intelligence, dexterity, etc. And your 3 dice in that row will add up to a number, and once the game is finished, that's your final score for that row.
And in this, you'll also be given cards that your personality, your alignment,
Yes.
and your role, and they pretty much tell you how you'll get 3 points if you have a 17 strength, 2 points if you're within 15 to 17.
You're trying to get a specific number for each category.
As well as for your, I think it's not alignment, your personality, like certain color die in certain spots.
Right, your class, your backstory, all these things can affect it. And it's not as simple as just roll your die and hope you get the right number. You're actually choosing them in
every turn you roll.
almost a drafting kind of way.
Every turn you roll, I think it's probably 1+ number of players.
Yes, correct.
So we played before, so we rolled 5. You put them out in number order. So like from 1 through 5, and the lowest number on 1, the highest number on 5, because then there's a buying thing after phase, and whoever has the lowest number buys first. So it's a challenge of, do I go for the higher number because I really need that, or do I do the lower because I really want to buy something?
Right, in your face, someone will buy it before you do.
And these buying things will include items that give you more points if you're a paladin, or maybe a trait that will allow you to copy an ability all over again.
There's skills, there's armor, there's weapons, all kinds of stuff. So it sounds like there's a lot going on in this game, and there kind of is, but at its core, it is a fairly simple dice game.
It's a dice drafting game.
Yeah, it is that.
And it was a lot of fun. Like, I really did enjoy making even though I lost, I was like, I made this cool, dragonborn paladin, yeah.
Yeah, I think because, and this is, depending on how you look at it, could be a strength or a weakness, but there is very little player interaction. And because of that, I almost looked at it as like we were all playing our own little solo game, so I didn't feel a real competitive bent in this.
A lot of the competitiveness came from, and it was much more situational, would be more like, I'm going to take that die because you want that.
Right.
Ironically, the 2 times I did it, where I really hurt you guys, I didn't know.
Yeah, and it depends on just how much, for me, I am the kind of guy who I'm not going to pay attention to what other people are doing.
Well, the few times I looked.
And you did the same thing, yeah.
That I actually tried to think about that.
You couldn't find anything.
Well, it didn't matter to you guys, So that's sort of a hit, but at the same time, that's fine because the game was still fun and thinking that, you could still you just have to hate draft. That's what it is. And
right.
Garrett did a couple times to me, he bought a couple items that I would need, but not too bad. And even though I came in, I think I did come in last place. No, I came in third. I was 1 point ahead of you.
Right.
But I was still happy. I almost want to be like, why don't we actually play D&D? Let's make our character like this.
It would be kind of cool. And I did play the solo mode, which I think really skewed my perception of how the game would go. Because I was in the solo mode, there is an AI sort of that takes cards and stuff, but they're pretty in the background. So I was like, oh, it's so easy to get exactly what you need.
And then next thing you know, Will took my green die.
Yeah, I was not. I oversaw what I thought I was going to get.
Overall, I did really like it, even though the player interaction was a little bit disappointing. Though we talked about if there was, you could really just hate on someone so much.
Yeah, that's my one. I would like there to be more player interaction, but personally, I don't think every game needs to have it. Sometimes it's nice to have a game where you just are kind of doing your own thing.
Yeah, and like I said, I was actually still I made this cool Dragonborn. I was still happy with my character.
It does a good job of making that theme come across without...
Especially since we haven't played our own D&D campaign in a while.
It's a good little Band-Aid for that, a good little filler.
Yeah, definitely one of the very exciting Kickstarters we received this year. That was one of our more enjoyable ones.
And that actually is all that we played, and that's all that we have to talk about for this week. We do have some comments.
I do have one thing I want to quickly talk about, but we'll do the comments first.
Sure. The comments are first. Well, last week we did our Star Wars Jar Jar Binks playback. Mm-hmm. We've got a lot of great comments from that. Darth Ed 77 says, I actually still own and have played this game / nightmare. It was a gag birthday gift because I was and am an adult who freely admitted to liking Jar Jar and Star Wars Episode 1. So I forced my friends to play it, once and only once, on that birthday back in the late 90s. Not a good game really, but I had silly fun with it. There might have been some alcohol involved. That's a good way to play. I actually thought about that in retrospect. Drinking game might make that kind of good.
Well, and make the rolling one so much better. Just be like,
Yeah, because it is kind of like a dexterity game. Daniel Devine says, I saw this in a thrift store one time and passed up on it because the Jar Jar figure was missing, which sadly is the best thing in this game. It's a really bad Jar Jar figure. It's the painted one color.
Yeah, but I want you to imagine playing without it.
Yeah. That fish game wouldn't be the same without the Jar Jar Binks figure.
Oh, yeah, no.
We mentioned our friend Mark, who said, of course Jonathan would like this game. I don't know what that's supposed to mean, so I'm just going to take it as a compliment.
It means you love dexterity games.
And finally, on another note, Falcon Ash K had a few suggestions for more holiday gifts that are good for the board games for the holiday season. He says Zombie Dice, Timeline, Sushi Go, Smash Up, and Pandemic are great gateway games or filler games to have. Yeah, those little small ones you can like put in a stocking are always good.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's our comments. What did you?
This episode has been definitely, I think, heavy on the RPG side, including with role player end.
Yep.
And recently, I've been watching this new YouTube video called Dungeon Forge, I believe is the name. We'll put a link down, but they focus on RPGing stuff. And I only found them recently. And they recently put a video about a new upgrade D&D put out for the fighter class in the Unearthed Arcana. And part of me was thinking about, like, I sort of, like, and I'm very jealous because I'm like, why didn't I get that as a ranger? Like, they got, like, an arcane archer, so they can attach spells to arrows, and I'm so jealous. But anyways, I was saying, like, what if they made, like, actually, I want to know your thoughts if you think this is a good or stupid idea, but, like, if they actually made, like, you could buy the D&D book, but you buy it online, and then if they make an upgrade to a character or add spells officially, like, that would actually upgrade there, so you wouldn't have to look through 6 books or something. Like, there would be, like, a one-stop place for the ranger.
No, I think that's genius. I mean, a digital app version of the Dungeon Master's Guide that included the player's handbook and the monster manual, and like you said, Leah, if it could actually have changing things, like it would update itself. I think that would be amazing.
Like, I was curious because I'm like, is that too much? Are we taking away the book? Like, would that?
Maybe you are a little bit, but the benefits I feel are so strong that, and also how many times have we had to look and try to find something in the book, and you're looking through the index and the contents, and you can't find that one rule.
There's a search function.
Yeah, it would be so good. And I'm sure there are PDF versions of these, and I'm sure people have adapted. But to have
unofficial version, but like an official, like,
and that was designed for that from the ground up.
In particular, I think the big one for this is because is Pathfinder, because I've actually been thinking of with Mark. Because then 2 other friends who aren't in any of the campaigns yet of maybe running a Pathfinder scenario. And then part of me's like, wow, there's a lot for me to go. And this is why I found this guy. I'm like, oh, thank God, he's going to explain everything to me.
Right. Well, we would love to hear your guys' take on that
so many books
as well.
We're lucky that the D&D only has like 6 right now.
Yeah. How many books do you have? How hard of time do you have condensing them?
I should mention that Unearthed Arcana technically isn't like, it's like beta. It's unofficial. So I'm curious whether you guys use that a lot. For different classes, do you change it up if you were like, oh, I would have done that if I had that level?
Let us know. Leave a comment right here on this video. It's so easy right down below. If you really want to, you can email us, rollforcrit@gmail.com.
And of course, you can also send your questions through Twitter @rollforcrit, and of course, Facebook and Instagram. Yep. And please like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe. Subscribe on iTunes. Leave us a review on iTunes if you like. That'd be really nice if you could give us a good rating. But finally, go to our website, rollforcrit.com. It's a great place. We have more podcasts, more videos, and we sell all kinds of awesome games, Star Wars ones, role-playing games of all varieties.
All the gifts to get for the people you truly care about, as we said at the beginning of the show.
There's still some time to get those Christmas gifts in time, so don't miss out on those great deals that we have. And finally, our final Star Wars playback for the month will be coming out this Thursday. Won't tell you what it is, but it's a hotly anticipated one that a few people have been asking us for, so you can probably figure it out from that.
As you say, it's the new hotness.
It's the new hotness. Should be good. Don't miss it.
But until that video comes out, I'm Will Keeler.
I'm Jonathan Estes. This has been the Roll for Crit podcast.